But now we're going to leave Michigan for a moment and head over to LA, where it's kind of early in the morning. And we have a special guest, one of our MPI alumni, Matt Lytle. Here's a quick look at his new show on the Travel Channel, Ghost Loop.
This man was an abuser.
I am so scared.
Oh my God.
Go, 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 go. And at this one time, we got movement. He lost that control. And now his life is taken from him. Bang! Does this make you angry recreating this? Yes, it does. Wow.
Joining us live from LA is MPI 2014 grad Matt Lytle. He's a producer and also the host of the Travel Channel's Ghost Loop, as you just saw in the trailer. Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. Really appreciate this.
So we've been building up the hype for this, and people couldn't be more curious to travel back with you to where it all started. In the beginning, tell us what brought you to MPI. What was your journey like?
Well, I'll be honest. Senior year of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I know that I wanted to do something with the entertainment industry, but I had no idea what it was. So I ended up going to a school called Ball State University in Indiana, where I'm actually from Indianapolis. So went there for a year, and I just knew it wasn't right for me. I wasn't a big fan of the classes that I didn't feel like I was getting stuff out of, and I just decided, I want to go to school, and I want to, dig deep into the film industry. And I don't want to wait 4 years. I want to, hands-on stuff right away. And I was antsy. So I, did my research with film schools and all this. And it was pretty drastic between British Columbia, New York, LA, and all these places, expensive. Next thing you know, I find MPI just right up the street in Detroit, and I didn't realize that another alumni named Zach Beggins, who also is on the Travel Channel as a paranormal investigator producer of Ghost Adventures, had gone there. It landed in my lap. I was like, this is literally what I want to do. And he went there. So it's like, why not copy him, but follow his steps? Let's see where it goes. And the next thing you know, I get to MPI, and it just blew me away with just the teachers and all the equipment they had. And just the first day of directing class with Doug, I remember my notebook was just chock full of notes, and I had no idea anything about film directing or anything like that. And after the first day, I felt way more confident. And obviously that was day one. So imagine the whole year. But yeah, that's how I got started. I found it online, and I found that Zach went there, which definitely sealed the deal. But definitely just reaching out to everybody that had gone there and all the teachers and stuff, that helped as well. And just the vibe of the school. And I felt really good about it. And it was obviously the best choice I could have made.
It sounds like for you, the stars aligned, and it's interesting because we all have someone we look up to, right? And for you,
right,
that was Zach, and you kind of followed in some of his successes and finding MPI, and let that lead you to, your current job today, which is, I know, much of a fast forward, but we all are sitting here and we're wondering, and you're like, what does your current job really entail, and how did you get there? Post MPI, it kind of sounds like you've been paving your own way from the beginning, really.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Right after MPI, luckily going to MPI, staying in Detroit for 2 years after I graduated was a very, very smart move. Not only, did I have to, I did bartend after, but I did have the connections to work on short films, to work on feature films as a PA. I did a lot of grip and electric stuff as well. Thanks to Jeremy. I know he's on here. Shout out to you, buddy. I miss you, man. You are a rock star. But because of him, I was very interested in the grip and electric world too. So I did several gigs of those. I also did a lot of acting in Michigan. And You know, there was one time where, you know, I ran into Kurt in public, I believe at a movie theater, and he asked me, he's like, "What's your plan?" And I said, "Well," I was like, "I'm kind of open to anything right now." And he mentioned Atlanta, and so I ended up moving to Atlanta for a year. And again, dreams were coming true. I worked on Avengers: Infinity War. I worked with Clint Eastwood. I worked with a bunch of big names in bigger movies. I worked on the show Ozark, which I'm in love with right now. Met Jason Bateman, which was amazing. But it was still, my dream was to be a ghost hunter on the Travel Channel. So, pre-planned documentaries there, made a couple short documentaries, and then moved back to Indiana for a year just to kind of find out what I want to do next, because Atlanta it wasn't quite doing it for me. And then I made the connections here in LA, and next thing you know, I was, our production team here in LA reached out for Ghost Loop and formed a team, and we created the show, and that's kind of how it happened. So honestly, it was a grind, but that's what it is in the film industry. It's a grind. You have to have grit, but you have to stay positive. Always be willing to learn, be willing to connect with people as well, and you're going to do just fine.
Wow, it sounds like like you said, your willingness to continue to move forward despite how difficult and uncertain sometimes that journey can be really led you from one thing to the next. And it sounds like you also moved around a lot. So kind of going back to your MPI days and then throughout your entire journey, what skills did you find to be the most useful? It sounds like you've already like touched a little bit on like those people skills, making the connection, but kind of going back to the technical side of things, how did you stay current and continue to move forward?
Honestly, it's experience. It's not turning down jobs. I mean, you're gonna work jobs that are free. You're gonna work jobs where you get paid $50 a day. It's just gonna happen. You have to take those in the beginning, because I worked on a feature film down in Mississippi about 3 or 4 years ago, and I hardly got paid for it. It wasn't, the best setup or anything, but I took the job. I ended up gaffing it, and I learned a lot about, just the small equipment we had. I learned from the director who, was in his late 30s. It's stuff like that. It's just being open to taking all these jobs and getting all of the experience you have, because then when you do end up getting that gig that you wanted, where it does pay good and it's going to be for months and months, you work on Avengers, whatever it is, you are going to have that experience. You're going to have that confidence. And that would be my advice. Just take the jobs that are sent to you in the beginning and take advantage of them, so.
That's solid advice. You're right. You've got to get the experience before you can ultimately get to where you want to go. What advice do you have for upcoming filmmakers, people who are either in school right now or still trying to find their way and are looking to you for some guidance?
I mean, again, my biggest advice would be, I'm all about attitude and just grinding. It's keep a positive attitude. Like I said, take the jobs, any job you can, and just make the most of everything, because it's a cutthroat industry. It's the film and TV industry. You're going to have days where you don't get the job. If you're an actor, you're going to have a lot of days where you're saying that you're the number 1 or 2 choice for the role and you don't end up getting it. But you have to keep going, because that day will come where you get your dream job. I promise you it will come if you just stick it out, grind it out, stay positive. Don't ever burn bridges either. That is one thing that I learned the hard way when I was younger. So don't do that either. And that would be my advice.
Now that sounds like a lot of really great things for people to take into consideration as they're moving forward. Speaking of moving forward and next steps, what is in the cards for you?
Wow. Well, I mean, right now it's so blurry because of obviously the COVID-19 and everything. So everything's on pause, but me and one of my co-stars on Ghost Loop do have a huge project coming up. We're, as we speak, organizing it, coming up with new ideas and all. But we have a very big future coming up. I have an interview tomorrow with the Destination Fear crew from the Travel Channel as well that we're going to do on Facebook. You know, just kicking off, or not kicking off, but I should say taking Ghost Loop and everything that is coming from that and kind of moving forward with it. And, you know, just doing everything I can, going down every avenue I can to make projects and to make businesses and to basically be an entrepreneur as well with it, and just love life in LA and take advantage of it and say, you know, let's go. So, yeah.
I love that optimism and again, that excitedness that you have for the future. With that being said,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us and best of luck to you. We're so excited to see where the future is going to take you, and we will be tuning into whatever you do next. So Scott,
Thank you.
turning it back over to you.